My own blood, my own child, and my husband, standing together, smiling while I was breaking. I still hear my voice shaking that day. Why? I asked. What did I do to deserve this? My hands were trembling as I held the paper they gave me. It was not just any paper. It was the paper that took my home, my land, and my peace away. My husband did not look at me. He kept his eyes on the ground like I was no longer his wife, like I was nothing. But my child, my own child, looked straight into my eyes. And then, my child said something I can never forget. We had no choice, Mama. No choice. That was the moment my heart broke into pieces. I felt the ground moving under my feet. My chest was tight. I could not breathe well. How can your own blood turn against you? How can the man you loved join hands with them? I tried to speak again, but no words came out. Only tears. Then something happened that made everything even worse. But before I tell you what happened next, let me take you back to where my story began. Sit close, my child. Listen carefully, because this story is not just mine. It may teach you something that can save your own life one day. My name is Grace. I was not always this old woman you are hearing now. I was once a young girl full of dreams. I grew up in a small village where everyone knew each other. Life was not easy, but it was peaceful. My father was a farmer. My mother sold food in the market. We did not have much, but we had love. I used to wake up early in the morning to help my mother. I would carry a small basket on my head and follow her to the market. Sometimes I would complain. Mama, I am tired, I would say. She would smile and say, one day you will thank me. At that time, I did not understand. But now I do. Life started changing when I turned 18. That was when I met the man I thought would be my forever. His name was Daniel. Daniel was not the richest man, but he was kind. At least, that was what I believed. He used to come to the market just to see me. He would buy things he did not need, just so he could talk to me. Grace, he would say, one day I will take you away from all this stress. I would laugh. But deep inside, I believed him. We got married 2 years later. That was the happiest day of my life. People danced, people laughed, my parents were proud. I felt like my life was just beginning. And for a while, it was beautiful. Daniel took good care of me. He worked hard. We built a small house together. Not long after, I gave birth to our first child, a baby boy. I held him in my arms and cried tears of joy. My son, I whispered, I will give you a better life. I loved that child with everything in me. Years passed, and we had more children. Life was not perfect, but we managed. There were days of joy. There were days of struggle. Sometimes Daniel would come home tired and quiet. I would ask him what was wrong, but he would just say, nothing. At first, I did not think much of it. Men get tired, I told myself. But slowly, things started to change. Daniel began to stay out late. He stopped talking to me the way he used to. When I tried to ask questions, he would get angry. Must I report everything to you? He shouted one night. That was the first time he spoke to me like that. I was shocked. I kept quiet. I told myself it was just stress. But it did not stop. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. The love we once shared started fading. But I stayed. Do you know why? Because of my children. I did not want them to grow up without a father. So I endured. I smiled even when I was hurting. I kept the family together the best way I could. My children grew up. I trained them with love and discipline. I taught them to respect people. I taught them to fear God. I gave them everything I had, even when it was not enough. Especially my first son. Ah, that boy. He was my pride, my joy, my hope. I believed he would take care of me when I got old. He was close to his father, too. They used to sit together and talk for long hours. Sometimes I would join them. Sometimes they would stop talking when I came close. but I ignored it. Maybe it was just men talk, I thought. I did not want to think badly. Years later, my husband suggested something. "Grace," he said one evening, "we should put the land documents in our son's name. It will make things easier in the future." I was surprised. "Our son?" I asked. "Yes," he said. "He is responsible. He will manage it well." I was not comfortable with it. Something inside me said no. But then I looked at my son, my own blood. How could I doubt him? So I agreed. That was the biggest mistake of my life. At first, nothing changed. Life continued as usual. But slowly, I started noticing strange things. My son became distant. He no longer came to sit with me. When I called him, he would say he was busy. My husband, too, became colder. It felt like I was living with strangers. One day, I heard them talking in low voices. I was not trying to listen, but I heard my name. My heart started beating fast. Why were they talking about me like that? I moved closer to the door quietly. And then, I heard something that made my blood run cold. "Everything is ready," my son said. My husband replied, "Good. She will not suspect anything." I froze. What were they planning? Why was my name involved? I wanted to open the door and confront them, but fear held me back. That night, I could not sleep. My mind was full of questions. What did they mean? What were they hiding from me? The next morning, I tried to act normal. I smiled. I cooked. I greeted them like nothing was wrong. But inside me, a storm was building. Then something happened. Something that changed everything. That afternoon, a man came to our house with some papers. He asked for my husband. They sat down together. Then my son joined them. I stood at a distance, watching. My heart was beating fast. I knew something was wrong. Very wrong. Then my husband called me. "Grace, come here," he said. His voice was calm, too calm. I walked slowly toward them. My legs felt weak. He handed me the paper. "Sign this," he said. I looked at the paper. My eyes moved from one line to another. And then I understood. That was the moment my world crashed. Because what I saw on that paper was proof that my own blood and my husband had been planning against me all along. My hands were shaking as I held the paper. I looked at my husband. I looked at my son. Then I looked back at the paper again. "No," I whispered. "This cannot be true." But it was. The paper said the house, our house, the one I suffered to build, no longer belonged to me. It was being transferred. Not to my husband. Not even shared. But fully to my son. And there was something worse. There was a small line written at the bottom. It said I had agreed to it. My heart stopped for a moment. How is my name here?" I asked, my voice shaking. My husband cleared his throat. "You already agreed before," he said. "No," I shouted. "I never agreed to this." My son stood up quickly. "Mama, please calm down," he said. "Don't tell me to calm down," I cried. "You want to take my house and you are telling me to calm down." The man with the paper shifted uncomfortably. "I think I should come back later," he said softly. "No," I said. "You will not go anywhere. Explain this to me." But before he could speak, my husband raised his voice. "Grace, stop embarrassing us." Embarrassing us. I looked at him, my eyes full of tears. "Embarrassing you," I said slowly, "after everything I have done for this family." My son stepped closer. "Mama, it is not like that," he said. "Then what is it like?" I asked. He hesitated. That silence told me everything. I felt something break inside me. "You planned this," I said quietly. "Both of you planned this behind my back." "No, Mama," he started. "Don't call me that," I shouted. The room became quiet. Even the air felt heavy. I turned to my husband. "Daniel, is this true?" I asked. He still did not look at me. "Just sign the paper," he said. That was when I knew. I was alone. Completely alone. I dropped the paper on the table. "I will not sign anything," I said. My voice was no longer shaking. It was firm, strong. For a moment, nobody spoke. Then my husband laughed. It was a cold laugh. "Grace," he said, "you don't have a choice." Those words hit me like a slap. "What do you mean?" I asked. My son looked away. My husband pointed at the paper. "Everything has already been arranged," he said. "Your signature is just a formality." My heart began to race again. "What have you done?" I whispered. He leaned back in his chair. "I did what was necessary," he said. I felt dizzy. My head was spinning. I looked at my son again. "Is this what you want?" I asked him. He did not answer. Tears filled my eyes. "This house," I said slowly. "I carried sand on my head to build it. I sold my wrappers. I went hungry many nights." My voice broke. "And now, you want to take it from me?" My son finally spoke. "Mama, we need to move forward," he said. Move forward. By pushing me aside. I could not believe what I was hearing. "I am still alive," I said. "You are treating me like I am already gone." My husband stood up. "I am tired of this," he said. "Sign the paper and let us end this." "No," I said again. He slammed his hand on the table. "Grace." I did not move. I said no. The room became tense. I could feel anger rising in him. But for the first time in a long time, I was not afraid. I had lost too much already. What else could they take from me? Then my husband did something I did not expect. He nodded to the man with the paper. "Leave it," he said. "We will handle it." The man quickly stood up and left. Now it was just the three of us. A broken family. My husband turned to me. "You have until tomorrow," he said. "If you don't sign it, you will regret it." My heart skipped. "Are you threatening me?" I asked. He did not answer. Instead, he walked out. My son stood there for a moment. "Mama," he said softly. I looked at him with pain. "Why?" I asked. He shook his head. "You will understand later," he said. Then he left too. I stood there alone. The paper was still on the table. I walked slowly toward it. I picked it up again. My name was there. Clear. Written as if I had agreed. But I knew the truth. This was not my doing. This was betrayal. Deep betrayal. That night, I did not eat. I sat on my bed, staring into space. My mind was full. My heart was heavy. How did it get to this? Where did I go wrong? Was it wrong to love them? Was it wrong to trust my own child? Tears rolled down my cheeks, but I wiped them away. I could not break now. Not now. I needed to think. I needed to be strong. Late in the night, I heard voices again. My husband and my son. They thought I was sleeping. I got up quietly and moved closer to the door. "You must make sure she signs it," my husband said. "She is stubborn," my son replied. "Then we will force her," my husband said coldly. My heart skipped. "Force me? How?" There was silence for a moment. Then my son spoke again. "What if she refuses completely?" My husband's voice became lower. Then he said something that made my whole body freeze. "Then we will remove her." Remove me? What did he mean? My hands started shaking. I quickly went back to my bed and lay down. My heart was beating so loud, I thought they would hear it. I closed my eyes, pretending to sleep. But inside me, fear had taken over. Was I safe in my own house? The next morning, I woke up early. I did not wait for them. I went outside and sat quietly. The sun was rising, but I felt no warmth. Only cold. Deep cold. I knew one thing. I could not stay quiet anymore. I had to do something. But what? Who would believe me? Who would help me? As I sat there thinking, I suddenly heard footsteps behind me. I turned around slowly, and what I saw made my heart stop. Standing behind me was my son, but he was not alone. Two strange men stood beside him. Big men, strong men, the kind of men that do not smile. My heart started beating fast. "Good morning, Mama," my son said, like everything was normal. I did not answer immediately. I looked at the men again. "Who are they?" I asked quietly. "They are just here to help," he said. "Help? What kind of help?" My body became tense. "I don't need any help," I said. One of the men stepped forward. "Mama, we don't want any problem," he said. "Just cooperate with us." Cooperate. My fear grew stronger. I stood up slowly. "What is going on?" I asked, my voice shaking a little. My son sighed. "Mama, please, don't make this difficult." There it was again. That cold tone. That tone that did not sound like my child anymore. "I heard everything last night," I said suddenly. His face changed. The men looked at each other. "I heard you and your father," I continued. "You said you will force me." There was silence. Then my son looked away. "Mama, you were not supposed to hear that," he said. My heart sank. So it was true. Everything. "You want to remove me?" I asked. No one answered. That silence was louder than any word. I took a step back. "You want to push me out of my own house," I said. My voice was rising now. Neighbors might hear. But I did not care. This was my life. My home. My dignity. "Mama, please lower your voice," my son said quickly. "No," I shouted. "Let them hear. Let everyone hear what you are doing to me." One of the men moved closer. "Mama, calm down," he said. I looked at him with anger. "Don't call me Mama," I snapped. "You are not my child." My son stepped forward. "Mama, we are doing this for your own good," he said. I laughed. It was not a happy laugh. It was a broken laugh. "My own good," I repeated, "by taking everything from me." "You don't understand," he said. "Then explain it to me," I shouted. He hesitated again. Then he said something that shocked me. "You are too old to manage this property," he said. "We are just helping you." Too old. Helping me. By pushing me out. Tears filled my eyes again, but I refused to let them fall. "I am not dead," I said. "I am still strong. I can still think. I can still decide." My son shook his head. "Mama, please just sign the paper," he said softly. I stood my ground. "I will not sign anything," I said. The air became heavy again. Then one of the men spoke. "Olga said if she refuses," he started. My son quickly cut him off. "Enough," he said. But it was too late. I had heard it. Olga. That meant my husband was behind everything. Fully. Not just involved. Leading it. My chest tightened. "So your father sent you?" I asked. My son did not answer. That was the answer. I felt weak. Not just in my body, but in my soul. The two people I trusted the most had joined hands against me. I slowly sat back down. For a moment, nobody spoke. Then I looked up again. "If I don't sign, what will you do?" I asked quietly. My son closed his eyes for a second. When he opened them, they were cold. "Then we will have no choice," he said. My heart dropped. No choice. That same sentence again. I stood up suddenly. "Then do what you want," I said, "but I will not sign." The men moved closer. My heart Was this how it would end? In my own house, with my own child watching. One of the men reached for my hand. "Please, Mama," he said. "Don't make us do this the hard way." I pulled my hand away quickly. "Don't touch me," I shouted. My son looked stressed now. "Mama, please," he said. "You are making this worse." "Worse," I said. "You have already destroyed everything." My voice broke. Tears finally fell. I could not hold them anymore. "I carried you in my womb," I cried. "I suffered for you, and this is how you pay me." My son looked away again. He could not face me. That hurt more than anything. Then suddenly, I turned and ran. I did not even think. I just ran. Out of the compound. Down the road. My legs were weak, but fear gave me strength. I heard footsteps behind me. They were chasing me. I ran faster. My breath was heavy. My chest was hurting. But I did not stop. I could not stop. Not now. Not when my life might be in danger. "Mama, stop," my son shouted behind me. But I did not listen. I kept running. People on the road were looking at me, confused. Some tried to ask questions, but I could not answer. I just ran. Then suddenly, I tripped. My foot hit a stone. I fell hard to the ground. Pain shot through my body. Before I could get up, the men were already there. One of them grabbed my arm. "Got you," he said. I struggled. "Leave me," I shouted. People started gathering now. They were watching, whispering, but nobody stepped forward. Nobody helped. My son arrived. He was breathing heavily. "Mama," he said. I looked at him with tears and anger. "Please," he said, "don't do this." I shook my head. "You are not my son," I said. Those words came out before I could stop them. His face changed. Pain flashed in his eyes. But it did not change anything. The man held me tighter. "Let's take her back," he said. "Take me back." Like I was a prisoner. I struggled again. "No," I screamed. But they were too strong. They started dragging me. Back to the house. Back to the place that was no longer safe. My heart was pounding. My body was shaking. I looked around for help, but everyone just watched. No one moved. No one spoke. And as they dragged me closer to the house, my husband stepped out of the door. He was holding something in his hand. Something I could not see clearly at first. But as I got closer, my eyes widened in fear. Because what he was holding was not just a paper anymore. The thing in my husband's hand was not just a paper. It was a small bottle and a pen. My heart jumped. I knew that bottle. Ink. But something about it felt wrong. Very wrong. "Bring her inside," my husband said calmly. They dragged me into the house. My legs were weak. My body was shaking. But my mind was now clear. These people, my own blood, were ready to finish what they started. They pushed me into a chair. I tried to stand up, but one of the men held my shoulder down. "Stay still," he said. My husband came closer. "Grace," he said, his voice soft but cold. "This is the last time I will ask you. Sign the paper." I looked at him. This man, the man I once loved, now looked like a stranger. "No," I said quietly. His face hardened. He lifted the small bottle. "If you don't sign," he said, "we will use your thumbprint." My heart skipped. Thumbprint. That meant, even if I refused, they would still take everything. I turned to my son. "Is this what you want?" I asked. He did not answer. Tears filled my eyes. "My own child," I whispered. Then something inside me changed. I wiped my tears slowly. I stopped shaking. I stopped begging. If I was going to lose everything, I would not lose myself. Untie me, I said. They looked surprised. I will sign, I said. My husband smiled. My son looked relieved. The men stepped back. They loosened their hold on me. My husband handed me the pen. The paper was placed in front of me. My name stared back at me. I held the pen. My hand was steady now. But inside me, a plan was forming. You see, they thought I was weak. They thought I had no way out. But they forgot something. I was the one who built this family. I was not foolish. I bent my head like I was ready to sign. But instead I spoke. Before I sign, I said, call the elders. My husband frowned. What elders? He asked. Our family elders, I said. Let them witness it, so nobody will say tomorrow that you cheated me. There was silence. My son looked unsure. Mama, he said. I looked at him. If what you are doing is right, I said, why are you afraid? My husband hesitated. That was the first time I saw doubt in his eyes. The men looked at each other. Then my son spoke. Let's just call them, he said, so everything will be clear. My husband sighed. Fine, he said, call them. That was how everything changed. Later that day, the elders came. Men who had known me since I was a young girl. Men who knew my struggles. Men who knew the truth. We all sat down. The paper was brought out again. My husband explained his side. My son spoke too. Then it was my turn. I stood up slowly. My body was still weak, but my voice was strong. I built this house, I said. I suffered for this family. I trusted my husband. I trusted my son, but they planned against me. The elders looked shocked. I continued. They want to take everything from me while I am still alive. One of the elders turned to my husband. Is this true? He asked. My husband could not speak. That silence exposed everything. The elders became angry. This is wrong, one of them said. Very wrong. My son lowered his head. Shame filled the room. My husband tried to speak. It is not like that, he started. Be quiet, an elder shouted. You want to throw your wife out, the woman who suffered with you. No one spoke again. The truth was clear. The elders made their decision. The property stays in her name, they said. Nobody will take it from her. My heart felt light for the first time in days. I was saved. But something else was lost. Something I could never get back. Trust. My husband could not look at me anymore. My son avoided my eyes. Even though I won. I lost my family. Days passed. The house became quiet. Cold. Empty. We still lived together, but it was no longer a home. One evening, my son came to me. Mama, he said softly. I looked at him. I am sorry, he said. Tears filled his eyes. I made a mistake. I listened, but my heart was tired. Why? I asked. He shook his head. I was selfish, he said. I listened to the wrong voice. I nodded slowly. Yes, I said, you did. He cried. I did not stop him. Some lessons come with pain. Deep pain. My husband never apologized. Not once. But his silence spoke louder than words. As for me, I survived. Not because I was strong at the beginning, but because I refused to stay broken. So listen to me, my child. Not everyone close to you truly loves you. Even your own blood can hurt you. Even the one you trust can betray you. But no matter what happens, never lose yourself. Never give up your voice. And never let anyone take what belongs to you without a fight. That is my story. A story that can never leave my mind. A story of betrayal, of pain, and of survival. Thanks for watching. Kindly subscribe to this channel for more interesting story.